Hello and welcome to Robin's Crochet Corner. This is Robin Gribben and I am going to be your instructor today for spiral granny squares. What I have been doing is taking and using my scraps of yarn up for doing these spirals. They are randomly selected as far as colors are concerned. I don't choose any one in particular. I just reach into my stash and grab 4 different colors, and I come up with whatever 4 I have, unless they're exactly the same, because sometimes I have the same ball of yarn in there. I won't do 2 in a row. I have to go in and reselect something else. But as long as they're 4 different colors, I will use whatever comes out. And what's unique about this is that when you do this and you have a group of squares, and it could be lots and lots of them, there are going to be things that match. Like these 2 colors will match, and these 2 colors will match, and these 2 colors will match. So as you look at it, when you start putting these squares together in a blanket or a placemat or something like that, or a washcloth, as you find out you're doing this, then you can know that it's all going to go together because some of the same yarn is in each one of these blocks somewhere along the line. You can also make these very big, so you can make a big square and make a hot plate or something like that. Make some coasters if you want to. The ideas, I guess, are endless. You can kind of pick what you'd like to do with them. But for now, we're just going to make the square and surround them with the black. And what I chose randomly out of my stash were these 4 colors. And it just so happens they really go together well. I have a yellow, a purple, a pink, and a blue, which, you know, doesn't happen very often where you come up with the big bright colors. Like, it just happened to come up that way in this project for us today. The first thing you need to do once you pick the 4 colors is you gotta number them, or I call them color 1, color 2, color 3, and color 4. The reason why I chose the yellow as color 1 is I try to choose the brightest one out of the group because it makes me remember which one color 1 is. And it's very important as you're making this spiral that you remember what you started with, because that puts you back to the beginning every time. Because although in the very beginning you'll start out with a certain amount of stitches that are exactly the same, as you begin to spiral, it could get confusing about what color you started with. So my method is to pick the brightest one. If yours is to pick the darkest one, it really doesn't matter as long as you remember which one color 1 is. You can also write it down on a piece of paper so that you remember color 1 is this particular thing, color 2 is this, whatever. That allows you to be able to pick each color and know where you're starting in the very beginning at each row or each spiral as we work around. We're going to be using a hook size 4E. It is not a very large hook. This one is an inline hook, which means it doesn't have a taper. I find that the inlines are a little easier to use if you have trouble with tension. I personally just like them. I don't care for the tapered ones as well. So I do look for the inlines when I buy them. You might like the other. You also might like ones that have handles on them. I'm an old school person. That's what I learned on, and I found that this type of hook, which is a basic hook, this is a Susan Bates, it just works for me. All right, the first thing we have to do is use color 1, which is yellow, and we're going to create a magic ring. And if you've never done a magic ring before, this is how you do it. You lay the yarn over top of your palm of your hand, over your fingers, and you wrap it around 2 of your fingers, and then make a crisscross, and then just hold it over on the other side. You're going to go under the first loop, over the second, make a twist, and then take the top piece of yarn over here and create a slip stitch. And once you do that, you've created a magic ring. You have a round piece here, and then you also have your extra piece of yarn, and this is the one we'll be able to tighten that the inside of the magic ring when we're done doing the foundation stitch, and also throughout the work that we're doing. All right, so the first one that we're going to do in order to create color 1, we're going to do a single crochet, and I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to do a hook over or a yarn under. It makes the stitch a little tighter. I use this a lot. If you don't know how to do it and don't feel comfortable, just go ahead and do your yarn over. It's fine, but I do the yarn under. The yarn under, single crochet, And then I'm going to do a half double crochet. And then 2 double crochets. And you notice each time I'm doing that over top of both loops in the magic ring. Another one. That's normal. This way. Over and pull through. This is what we have now. We have a single crochet, a half double crochet, and 2 double crochets. And what we're going to do is just going to pull the loop out and drop it. And we're going to now pick up color 2, which is the purple. I'm going to insert our hook into the magic ring. Pull up a loop, keep a hold of that string that's on the bottom. Take it and do a slip stitch, and then a chain 1. And now we're going to do a single crochet. It's very important when you're doing this single crochet that you lock this piece of yarn right here from the color you're working with into the project, because it'll keep it from being loose at the very beginning. Half double into the next one, double crochet, 2 of these in color 2. Draw a loop, drop your hook, just slide this now over on the ring to the color 1. Now we're going to pick up color 3, drop color 2, pick up color 3, which is the pink. Insert our hook into the magic ring. And we're going to pull this tight just to make sure everything's tight on there. And then we're going to do a half double. And 2 double crochets. And we're going to pull that loop and push this back down to the other group. So now we have 3 on there, as you can see. And we're going to go to color 4. We're going to drop color 3, insert our hook. Create a slip. Hold that piece of yarn down there. Create a single crochet. And then a double crochet. I'm sorry, half double crochet. And then 2 double crochet. And this will give us all 4 colors on our magic ring as our foundation to start. Okay? All right, so we're going to push that also down there, and we're going to pull a loop out, drop everything. And now what we have is we have all 4 colors on the magic ring. I make sure that they're slid down. I'm going to hold color 4, and then I'm going to take that tail that I have left over from color 4, from color 1, and just pull as tight as I can, and it'll pull all of those together. Try not to break the yarn, because that would be terrible if you did that, because then you'd be back to square 1 again. I tell you that because I've done it, and you just want to make sure you pull it, but you want to make sure that you don't pull it and break it. Now you can see, other than the fact that there's still a couple loose pieces, which we will tie in later, you can see we've now started the center of our spiral granny square, all 4 colors. Remember that color 1 was our beginning color. So then let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and do these 4 colors, these 4 quadrants here. And then we'll be back and we'll do round 2. All right, so we're back. Everybody got their quadrants done of all 4 colors. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start the second row. We're going to be working in 3 of the 4 stitches in color 2. And there's a single crochet, a half double, and a double, and then there's this extra double. We're not going to do anything in that extra stitch. We're only going to be working in these three. And in the next rounds that we do, we're only going to be doing double crochets. There won't be any other stitch done except for double crochets. It's just different ones and amounts in each stitch. So the first thing we're going to do is locate that single crochet, and we're going to do 2 double crochet in that one single crochet. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next. And at the last one, we're going to do 2 double crochets in the last. I'm going to pull a loop, drop it out, and you can see now we've got all these different stitches, and it's all done in color 2. We're going to go over to color 2 loop now and pick it up. I'm going to locate all 4 of those stitches that we have, especially that single crochet to start, which is right here. And we're going to do 2 double crochets in that single crochet. So, we're going to do 2 double crochets in this single crochet. So that's 1. And 2. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next. And 2 double crochet in the next one. And that will finish color 2. I'm going to pull out the loop and drop it. And now we have 2 colors that are here. See that? Go to color 3. And now we're going to be looking for those 4 loops along, the 4 stitches along there. There's our first one. We're going to half double 2 in that first stitch. The first one's a little tight because it's a single crochet. It makes it a little bit tighter to do. That's what the stitch that makes it really tight down by the circle. And we want that in the very beginning. And then we're going to do a single crochet, a single double crochet, 1 double crochet in the next one, and 2 in the following, using each and every one of those loops, those 3 loops. Okay, draw the loop, drop the yarn, and we're going to go to color 4 and do the same thing utilizing color 1. Now, if you notice with color 1, there's already a lot more stitches because we've started with that one. And because of that, we have to be a little bit more conscious of the fact that we only have these 4 stitches, the 4 stitches, the original 4 stitches, and we're only working 3 of those. We're not going to be working in this section here that we just did. So we're going to do the same thing we did with all the rest of them. We're going to go into the single crochet first, and we're going to do 2 double crochets in that. I'm going to double crochet in the next and 2 in the following. And that's all we're going to be doing. And we'll still have the same exact look with all 4 colors as we go into this. I'm having a little bit of trouble with these extra pieces, but that's because they haven't been locked in yet, but we'll lock them. We'll hide them in the back, but it's okay that they're like that right now. All right, so there we have our beginning of the spiral. You're really starting to see it now that you have gotten, these colors in there. All right, so let's go ahead and do that row, and then we'll be back. All right, so we're back in with color 1, which is yellow. One of the things you're going to find as you're working with this project is your yarn may get a little bit tangled up. You just have to try to keep it untangled as you work. It will be a little bit of a project for you to do. I usually will move each one as I go, which makes it a little easier to keep a track of them. It'll make it a lot easier for you if you do it as well. All right, so what we're gonna do at this point is we have now a lot more stitches to work with. So we're still gonna do the first stitch is still gonna have 2 double crochets in it. And because last time we only did one double crochet that was singular by itself, we now go up in odd count, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. We're now going to do 3 half doubles in the next 3 stitches. Double crochet, but no, not 2 of them in the same one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then on the last one that we're going to use, we're not going to use the last stitch. We're going to do 2 in this last one. Okay, so there we've done that. And I'm going to take my yarn that I just did and I'm going to bring it over top of this and through just to keep it from being together. That helps a lot to keep it organized. We're going to pull the loop out, drop this yarn. We're going to pick up the loop on color 2, and we're going to work 2 in the first one, a single double crochet in the next one, and 2 double crochets here. So double crochet in the next 2, and then double crochet in the next 1, 2. Now look at our spiral. It's really starting to show now. See it? It's really starting to look like a major spiral at this point. It really looks cute. It looks pretty. The colors go well together. And like I said, even if I didn't pick them that way, I mean, it's amazing how you just pick them out randomly and they still look really good in a spiral. Okay, so now we're going to go to row 4. And row 4, if you remember what I told you, each row, the stitches that you do the double crochets in one stitch, they go up in increments in the odds. So the last row we did 3 in the middle. This time we're going to do 5. So the first 2 are going to be 2 double crochets in the next stitch. So we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And then we're going to do 5 stitches with just 1 single crochet in them. That's 3. That's 4. And 5. Now each time that you do that, you should have 2 stitches left in the color that you're working in. That's just to give you a gauge in case you get lost somewhere along the line. But as long as you know where color 1 is, and you always start with color 1, and if you get up from your project in the middle of doing a row, let's say the kids need something, or the dog has to go outside, or whatever the case may be, your phone rings, just real quickly jot down on a piece of paper what color that you're working with at that particular point, so that when you come back you won't get lost. All right, so here we go. We've got all 4 colors again, and it's really starting to spiral quite a bit at this point. So let's go ahead and do row 4, and we'll be back. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and finish each one of the rows. And in order to do that, we go back to color 1 again, and we're going to do 2 double crochets in the first one. A double crochet in the next one. A half double crochet in the next one. A single crochet in the following, and then a slip. And then we're going to cut the yarn. All right, so now we're going to go to the second color. We're not going to make this tight over here for color 1 because I want to be able to do a hidden stitch with that later. All right, so we're doing 2 two double crochet in the corner here, one double crochet in the next, a half double in the following, single crochet in the next. See that little pop? I'm going to make sure that don't, there you go. Single crochet in the next, and then a slip, and cut the yarn. Okay, there we go. Go ahead and finish your spiral, and we'll be back to do the finishing touches and then go into the black border. All right, so now we have to finish up our little strands of extra yarn and make this look really good and professional. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna finish the hole in the middle. So we're gonna flip it over. We're gonna leave color 1 because that's part of the magic ring. And what we wanna do at this point is we wanna locate all 4 colors. And it doesn't matter, randomly you can start with whatever color you want. But I'm going to thread my tapestry needle, and I'm just going to run the thread, or the yarn, not the thread. All I'm going to do is run the yarn through the back several stitches, and then I'm going to come back through. I'm going to pick up the one that's next to that and come back through and pull it through like that. Oops, through it through like that. And then I'm going to cut that yarn as close to it as I can. And then we're going to do the same thing with each one of these except for the yellow. We're not going to do the yellow right now because I want to make sure that I use that, because that's going to be able to tighten up the magic ring. If you cut that, you won't be able to tighten up the ring. You'll be able to do it another way, but you can't do it the way we can easily do it now. Now what we're doing, you can see how much better this looks already. The hole looks better. Doesn't have all those loose threads, but we want to take and pull this as tight as possible. So we're just going to pull that string, that yarn really tight. You can almost hear it click in. And then once I do that, you see how nice that is? Closed up that hole completely. And then we're just going to do the same thing with this. We're just going to thread that through and lock in the yarn. That is how we clean up the center. Look how nice that looks now that we've cleaned up the center. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to make this look really clean and finished on the ends. And even though we're going to be doing a black border, I still like to make sure that all the stitches look really nice. Now what I did first is I just loosened this up a little bit because I want it to be a stitch over top of another stitch. If you look, this one right here is part of that one. Well, this loop, this little loop there, is really kind of part of this one here, or this loop, or these two loops here. So that is actually going to go over top of that stitch. It's going to kind of be, instead of seeing the purple, we're going to see the yellow. So the first thing we want to do is we want to loosen that stitch up a little bit, thread our hook, and then we're going to take and skip this one and skip that one because that's going over top of it. You'll see that. So skip the next one and come in and go under both loops like that and pull it tight. Now you can see that it's straddling, and I want to loosen this up just a little bit more so that it's the same. I want to loosen this up just a little bit more so that it's more the same as that stitch that it's under. Over top of, I mean. See that? All right, then I'm going to pull this, and I'm going to take the needle, and I'm going to thread it right down in between those two loops, and then I'm going to come back down into the back of it just through one loop like that, and then I'm going to pull this tight. Now what's happened is that if you look, it's the same amount of stitches all the way across, but what I've created is a final stitch that looks just like it was never there to begin with. Can you see that? Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go back through. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the same thing I did in the center. I'm just going to lock these threads in, and then we're going to go to the next color. Again, we want to make sure it's over top. That's the one that's going to be covering. This is the one we're going to skip, and we're going to go right into that one. Let it come over top of the one. Lock it in through that one. And now we've locked that in. You can see. Turn it over and go ahead and lock that underneath your stitches. Okay, so now that we got all of our rows done, and we've got it all secured and everything in the back is secure, we're now going to start the outside border in black. All right, so in order to be able to do the border, we need to go and do, just pick up any, it doesn't matter what side, any side, and you're going to go into the back loop, because we're going to be working in the back loop all the way around of any side that you have. And you're going to, again, we're going to take and do a slip. We're just going to pull that loop. We're going to chain one. And then we're going to single crochet into the same back loop. And then we're just going to pull that together so that it looks nice and neat. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way across the edge, the side, until we get to the first double crochet of the first double. You see we have a double crochet here and a double crochet. We're going to actually go all the way over until we get to that first double crochet of the group. I usually like to work my tail behind like this, so that way I don't have to do as much work in the end. It's a great way of being able to start the process of hiding tails. And I usually do 4 or 5 stitches of that, and maybe 6, but that's about it. And then I just drop it out. And we have a couple more here to do, and then we'll just go right here is where we're stopping, and we're going to do one more single crochet. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 double crochet in each of the next 2 double crochet. So we're going to double crochet in this one, and double crochet again. And then we're going to go to the next double crochet, and we're going to do 2. And what this is doing is it's creating a corner for our block. And it just makes it better if it's a little more of a deeper corner. And then we're going to go right back to doing single crochets. And we're going to go all the way across to the next corner where we have the first group of double crochets. And we're going to continue this all the way around until we get to the last corner, and then we will pick it back up. So here's what you're going to do is you're going to pick any corner that you're going to start with, go into the back loop of any corner stitch, pull up a loop, create a slip, do a chain, and do a single crochet into the same stitch. Then you're going to single crochet all the way across until you get to the first double crochet of the group. It's on the opposite side. And once you get there, then you're going to do 2 double crochets in the next 2 double crochet. So here I am again. I'm doing that. Now I'm going to do 2 double crochet in the next 2 double crochet. So I'm going to do 1, 2. And then I'm going to go all the way across until I get to the next one. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll be back to finish that last side that we have. Okay, so now we're at the last corner. We just finished doing the last 2 double crochets in a double crochet, and we're going to single crochet all the way over to the stitch right before the beginning single crochet that we did. So it should only maybe be 5, 6 stitches, something like that. Because I think in between the double crochets that you did, there's 12 stitches. And if you picked right in the middle, it's about that many. And each time you do this, just pick up the back loop. And then we're going to go all the way across. Excuse me. All the way across until we get to this single crochet. So what we're going to do now is we're going to slip into this next one. And we're going to pull up a slip knot like that. And then we're going to cut our thread. And pull this out. And we're going to do the hidden finish stitch on this one. And that's going to finish this first row. Okay. So we've done our first border. Again, we are going to press and block this a little bit when we're done because it is going to curl. Just remember, the tighter it is, and if you can't stretch it out, it's because your stitches are too tight to begin with, so you have to loosen up your stitches. But that's what it looks like with our border. By next week, I'd like to have you have at least 6 of these done. If you don't have 6, then, you know, it's going to be, you can do 4, but it's not going to be as more like a blanket. It'll be, yeah, you can do 4. It has to be even amount, 4, 6, 8. 8 is ideal. If you want to do 8, that's great. You can also do 9 because we can do 3 rows of 3. So there's a lot of different things, but just think about the fact that we're trying to make either a rectangle or a square out of it. So in order to do that, you have to have at least 4. It could be up to an odd number of 9, as long as you can do rows of even, or, you know, you can do 12 and do 4, 4, and 3 across. It just depends on how many you want to get done and how much you want to practice, but that's up to you. But today we're going to do the border, as many done as you can today, and that will give you less that you have to do when you go home. All right.